and then we'll look at the 13 huge mistakes, and we'll see how many of them I've already made. I feel like these videos are really well edited and really well put together. I've watched one of his videos before about engravings, and I thought it was very educational. There are very few tangents. They're obviously scripted. I really respect, you know, the way he like transitions to these different things, you know, blurs out the stuff that's not important, talks about the things that are important. So I think his videos are great, and they're informative, they're short, they're to the point.
You've watched every video, read up on a ton of guides, and you're ready to dive into Lost Ark on day one. But are you
I want to watch these videos. The reason why I'm watching some of these videos, like there's some things like I don't know about for sure, but it's also because I know a lot of you guys are coming in, you haven't played yet, and hopefully this will help you guys that are maybe in queue and maybe starting off right now.
Fully prepared to take on the world of Arcasia. Hey there friends, it's Kodiak here. Welcome to Legacy Gaming. Today, I'm putting my experience with the game to the test and sharing a number of huge mistakes to avoid in Lost Ark. Let's be crystal.
Bit loud. Apologize for that. I want to say I saw Hightail in there. Is that game out? Like, what is the status on Hightail? Because it was like so hyped up, and like I don't really hear anything about it. I haven't heard anything about it recently. It's not out yet. 2025. Yeah, I feel like it's just like it's such an ambitious project. I hope it doesn't get stuck in development hell. Microsoft bought it? That's smart. I mean, if Microsoft bought it, that would be fucking amazing, but we'll have to see what happens. It was bought by Riot. Oh, okay. Okay. Man, I really hope it's going to be good. I'm excited to play that. Even though I never really played Minecraft, I like the idea of it being an open foundation to do different things. I think it's cool.
Still clear. Lost Ark is an expansive, ever-changing game. That's the nature of MMOs, right? There are a million opinions and guides out there, and while they're chock full of information, sometimes a bit of perspective puts things into focus. That's really the goal of this video, to provide you with facts, but also to give you philosophical insight into how best to approach the game. Not everything I point out is going to be groundbreaking, but it might just resonate with a few of you. So keep an open mind, and remember, at the end of the day, play the game the way you want. That's ultimately going to provide you with the best experience. So this first one might be a bit strange for a lot of you, especially any MMO refugees coming to check out the game. Lost Ark's endgame breaks down into two concepts: horizontal progression, that is stuff that's easily accessible by everyone, and vertical content, activities that take investment, skill, and proper advancement. One thing I want you all to keep in mind is the fact that changing your main is a very common phenomenon within this game. In fact,
I'll probably change, like my goal right now is I want to have, as soon as I hit 50, excuse me, as soon as I hit 50, I'm going to boost a Gun Lancer. I'm going to boost a Gun Lancer, and I might also boost a Paladin. I don't know. Because honestly, after watching Damone play Paladin, I was like, fuck, that's really cool. And I might want to try that. And also, that way I can teach McConnell how to play his own class. Because, you know, he probably has, I mean, no idea, right? So I could just help him out. Warrior Andy? All warriors? Yeah. I mean, duh. Like, I mean, what do you want me to play, a girl? No, man. No,
it's so common that most people will tell you it's okay to change your main pretty much all the way up to tier 3. Now, the NA/EU will launch at tier 1 with some modifications, but keep in mind this.
That got changed.
You're not going to get to experience your full character with a full kit until you reach the end game content and unlock the additional skill point potions needed to see the class in full. At that point, don't be afraid to say, you know what, this class just isn't for me. The leveling process in Lost Ark is short by design because the developers, Smilegate, realized, rightly so, that it's impossible to judge a class based on its leveling experience. You may feel like you're throwing progression down the drain, but remember...
I always say that it's better, like this is a bit of advice, it's better to level up a character, like hand level a character, than get a boost for it. Because whenever you hand level a character, you start to understand how the different abilities synergize and how they fit together as you level up. Even though I probably won't do that.
Play a crucial role in funneling upgrade materials to your main. So making a swap may mean you have to level up a new character, but it also means you have an alt standing by in the wings,
that's a cool
ready to support that new main.
Badass.
Long story short, don't be afraid to swap your main. You may have an idea in your head about what class you want to play, but it's okay if that dream and the reality of the class don't line up. Just pull the trigger and try something else.
The con man.
Since we have the chance to do this again, I wanted to add another tip into the mix here. This actually comes from someone in the comments, but I realized I did this too during the beta. When you reach Lake Bar, you're going to start unlocking your life skills, mining and fishing to be exact. You're going to notice there's a vendor that sells you tools. Don't be fooled. You do not need to buy any tools from this life skill vendor at this point. You actually get basic tools and upgraded tools once you complete the associated guide quest, so save yourself the silver and don't fall into this trap.
Quest the way you
want. In a similar vein, I want to pivot and talk about questing. You're going to read a lot of guides and see a lot of videos about the best way to level or the fastest route to 50, whatever it may be. When the chips are down, there are really two ways to do this. The first is to only do the main story missions. The developers have tuned this entire quest line perfectly so that when you finish the final set of quests in Shoeshire, you're at level 50 in a set of gear ready to take on the first bit of endgame content, Chaos Dungeons. In my opinion, this is a great way to level as you're not bogged down by all those additional side quests that just slow you down. Plus, you get
Dude, I thought the side quests were fine. Like, I thought it added more combat and more stuff like that. I thought it was totally okay. In my opinion, I'll let him finish and then I'll talk about it.
See more of the world, and you get a starter set of endgame gear. It's a win across the board. That being said, there's nothing wrong with picking up every quest along the way. You're going to hit level 50 well before the end of that main quest line, and that's fine. You're also going to pick up more silver, account XP, and currencies for things like rapport, but this method isn't foolproof. There's a chance you might have a small gear gap that requires you to progress further anyways to get your item level high enough to enter Chaos Dungeons. Also, at some point, you're going to need to go back and finish that main quest line even if you're overpowered to do so. I would also argue this is a slower way to level, especially if you're playing a class that takes a bit longer to kill enemies, like a gun lancer. Bottom line, you can choose to level either way you want. It's entirely up to you, but those two options are really the only true paths to the end game. You may see slight variations here and there, but at the end of the day,
I think that at the end of the day, what it really is you should do what you want to do. And if you, like, realistically, just legitimately do not give a fuck about the story at all for any reason, it doesn't matter at all, you just want to get to max level, just do that, right? Because that's what you want to do. But other than that, like, my best advice to play the game, this is what I would do, is I would go through the main story quest, I would play through it, I'd read the quests, I would watch the cinematics, and I would go through the content, because that's the game. Like, that's the game. That you watch the game and that's it. That's what I do, right? And maybe it's not the best thing that you want to do, but that's my best advice for how to play the game.
Either one is going to get the job done.
Moko Seed Collectors.
Join a guild. Full stop. Being part of a community is at the core of any MMO.
That's what we're gonna do.
And Lost Ark,
first thing we do today is we make a guild. We actually make the guild.
Makes it an integral theme within the game. Being in a guild is more than just having a new chat channel to talk in. In Lost Ark, being in a guild means working towards collective goals and rewards.
Simple
Each
enough.
guild has access to research that will unlock new aspects of the guild, including a guild shop. Here you can turn in bloodstones for special items like upgrade materials, gear chests, and even percent-based HP potions, things that will help you in other aspects of the game. By simply being in a guild and contributing towards quests.
This is sorry, I have to make sure I don't get walked out.
Or making small donations in silver or gold, you're getting something valuable back in return. Something you wouldn't otherwise have access to. Am I segueing this into a shameless plug? You bet I am, but I truly believe that MMOs are better together, and to that end, I will say this. Legacy Gaming is already one of the biggest guilds in North America. We've amassed an incredible group of people from around the world.
Not as big as Olympus.
1,100 of us in the Discord. We're excited to take on the challenges of Arcasia together. We are an open community, which means you can come and go as you please, so if you're watching this video,
nothing's better than Olympus.
For a place to call home, check out our Discord link below and join today. Yes, guilds are limited to how many people can be in them, but trust me when I say we've got a big plan.
The worst part about, like, so this is what happened in New World, is that the green players on, like, our server, whenever we did the beta, we outnumbered purple and yellow like 3 or 4 to 1. Like, we completely fucking outnumbered purple, and it was great. But the problem is that the war is not a war of numbers. So we were Xerxes' army of the Persians, but they were the Spartans. So every one of them would kill 5 of our guys. but it didn't matter because we had 15 guys for every one of their guys, so we'd still just fucking kill them. So every war, we would lose. We would completely dominate the open world, but every war we would lose. It was fucking awful. Yeah, it was literally Xerxes' army. Lena Company wrecked us? Yeah, they were way more organized than we were. It was embarrassing.
If you're someone that really wants to make the most out of their time with the game, maybe you've only got a couple hours a week to spare, well, then hopefully this advice saves you some valuable time. Don't worry about your gear while you're leveling. Like most MMOs, leveling gear is a wash and doesn't provide you with any real value long term. I would argue that the loot in the game is one of the least interesting aspects of Lost Ark. It's not like running dead mines and getting the cruel barb to drop. Loot just doesn't work the same way.
It's really hard to find a game that loot feels as good as is in Classic WoW. Like, Classic WoW and Burning Crusade loot was really something else, bro. It was really something else. I never play RuneScape that much, right? I've done like maybe a few days on it. That's about it. So I can't speak to that. But what I can say is like with WoW, like even New World, right? You get a new weapon, like that's really cool. But like you don't get to see the damage in the same way as you did back then. Diablo 2 as well? Maybe. And Diablo 3, like it felt really good whenever you got a new weapon too. Like, remember you get one that had, like, crit chance, crit damage, and fucking attack speed, the trifecta on it, and it would have your main stat, too? Like, I played Demon Hunter on release. I would get a piece of gear or, like, a ring with trifecta, and it had, like, a gem in it. Like, holy shit.
Check your inventory while you're leveling and equip anything with a little blue arrow in the bottom right-hand corner. That's going to provide you with enough of a stat boost to keep you going. Keep in mind that you can equip 2 rings and 2 earrings, so best be sure you're utilizing every piece of gear. Just don't waste your time min-maxing while you're leveling. You'll just be wasting time. Time better spent pushing deeper into the game.
That's true cult black
Once you reclaim Lutera Castle, you'll be rewarded with a stronghold. I've talked about this feature in a number of different videos, and while it's still not my favorite system in the game, it's impossible to deny how important it actually is. Strongholds and life skills go hand in hand, and it's incredibly easy to just ignore or forget about your stronghold entirely. This is a huge mistake, as strongholds are really one of your best tools for continuing to progress within the game. The workshop and the port are really the 2 features I want to focus on here. At the workshop, you can craft percent-based HP potions as well as other battle items like grenades. To do that, you need life skills. I'm not saying to stop and pick every flower along the way while you're leveling, but these things will become vitally more important the deeper into the game you get. The real goal here is to have access to all the important recipes by the time T2 content comes out. That's when these vital items are going to play a big factor.
Which, by the way, T2 content is out on release.
Whether or not you're successful in out on release, so preparing now becomes key. In the same vein is the port, where you'll send out crews on automated missions. If you're a casual player, this is going to be a godsend, as you'll be able to crew ships that can complete special missions that reward upgrade materials. These missions mimic those of endgame activities like Chaos Dungeons and Guardian Raids, but you don't actually have...
I wish, like, you know what would be one really cool thing that, like, Lost Ark could do? And like, this is something I wish WoW did more of, is they had, like, a phone app that would allow you to, like, manage your stronghold materials and stuff on your phone. I would love that. That would be great. And I wish WoW had that too. Like, it would be so fucking cool to have that, because like that way you can just, WoW does have that in a way, right? Because like, you can do like the companion missions and shit, but like WoW, it's not the same. There's a few reasons why it's not the same. But overall, I would really, really love to have that. And like, that's the kind of stuff, like, people always talk about, oh, mobile's bad, mobile's bad, mobile's bad. Whenever I say like mobile is good and it can enhance the experience that a player can have, I'm thinking of things like this. I'm not thinking of Diablo Immortal.
To do the work. To that end, it's important to do collectibles that reward you with new crewmates that will allow you a higher chance of success. If you're a more serious player, someone that does want to push progression, well then, it's important just to keep up with your other missions. You actually have a tracker on your hotbar up top that lets you know when missions are completed. It's easy to forget this exists, and even easier to just not send crews out, but you're missing out every second that goes by and you don't send out a new party. Is this going to hamstring you for weeks on end? No, but those mission rewards can be used with special rotating vendors that may have incredibly valuable loot, things you don't want to miss out on, and if you don't have the money, you can't purchase the goods. It's as simple as that.
It's just that thing.
Looking around the internet, you may have noticed that a lot of Lost Ark creators post videos in widescreen. That's because a 29:9 aspect ratio gives you a wider field of view when playing the game.
I hate that. I actually hate that. Like, I think that's so dumb. I really wish that was not the case. Because, like, it makes you, like, I don't like having to play the game that way. And also, like, I remember back in PoE, whenever, and oh, this happened in Diablo 2, where you would download that hack, and it would take your screen and it would do this with it. And you could, like, see the parts of the game that weren't, like, finished. And you could shoot bosses with, like, certain abilities, like nether arrows. And you could tag them from off screen. And because they were so far away from you, they wouldn't aggro. And you could kill them for free. Do you remember that fucking bullshit that you used to be able to do? God damn, dude. That was so fucking fun. Dude, cheating in Diablo 3 felt so good.
Something a lot of players, specifically PvPers, find useful.
Yeah.
If you don't have a widescreen monitor, it's okay. There's actually an option to force the aspect ratio in the menus.
Yep.
I guess this isn't so much a mistake other players make, but a PSA that if you're someone that does want the advantage of more screen information, but don't have the hardware to back it up, there is a solution, one you might not have known about otherwise. So we just put out this huge endgame video breaking down everything players can do once they reach level 50 in the NAEU, and I want to double down on one aspect of that video, the rest gauge. If you don't know, the rest gauge is a system that allows you to catch up after you miss out on certain daily activities. If you're unable to complete the 2 daily Chaos Dungeons and Guardian Raids, you can gain stacks in your rest gauge.
Wow.
For each task left incomplete, you gain 10 rest. If you have 20 rest, the next time you do a Chaos Dungeon or Guardian Raid, you receive double loot. In total, you can stockpile 100 rest, resulting in 5 instances of double loot. The mistake happens when you let that rest gauge fill up to full and then don't capitalize on the double loot.
Wow.
Inevitably, things happen. You'll miss a day or two, especially if you're a more casual player, but once that bar hits 100, anything you miss after that point is a wasted opportunity.
That's really dude, I had no idea about that. That's sick. Yeah, it's fucking badass, man.
The easiest solution is just to try and log on every day and do your daily activities, but that's not always possible.
Yeah,
so your next best bet is to log in when you can to keep that bar below 100.
Right.
Chaos Dungeons take next to no time to complete, and Guardian Raids are timed events that won't stretch you past 20 minutes. The double loot gained by tapping into your rest gauge is more precious than anything else at this point, so don't miss a golden...
So I want to boost the characters as soon as possible. Wait, so yeah, I want to boost the characters as soon as possible, because that way I can start, you start, like, getting their boost. Okay, I need to figure out what my second characters be. Like, should it be Paladin or like, the gun guy? Like, that's like, those are the two options, and I ain't playing a girl. I'll be right back. I have to take a piss. I'll be right back. All right. I'm back. Okay. So yeah, I feel like that's what I should do. I should play the gun guy or a paladin. It's gonna be one or another, and I just don't know. You know what? This is kind of like a stupid question, but like, wash hands? Why would I wash my hands, dude? I got a clean dick. Why would I wash my hands? This might be a stupid question, but like, can you do a Guardian Raid with like 4 Berserkers? Or is there some sort of like class limitation system the way that like Final Fantasy has Limit Break? You can? Okay. So because like, if you have 2 of a class or like a couple of other restrictions, your Limit Break doesn't fill as fast in Final Fantasy? No. It's just, you just do whatever the fuck. It is what it is. All right.
Opportunity to keep your characters moving forward.
Dude, I'm so glad I found out about that.
We touched on this a bit in the Stronghold section, but man, I cannot tell you guys how important combat items are once you reach a certain point in the endgame. If you've ever rated progression in any MMO, then you know the value of coming to something prepared. That means having the right potions, and in this case, the right grenades or combat items.
That's a lot
All
of
these things can be crafted at the Stronghold, which is why it's important to keep up with the upgrades. But you'll also come by a number of these just by playing the game.
Dude, that's insane.
Most likely, the Lost Ark team is going to throw a ton of stuff at us during launch. It's a new game, and they're going to want to incentivize people to log in with daily bonuses and whatever else they come up with. Don't be overwhelmed by the shinies, and realize that these things are far more valuable later than they are now. The real mistake is keeping these in your bags to begin with. Take advantage of your storage chest, which allows you to squirrel away items, and just keep this stuff out of sight. One thing that really sucks is that new items will automatically move to your hotbar, and a slip of the finger means you just wasted a precious item. I know it might not make sense at this point, but trust me when I say it will once the team releases the next tiers of content. While not really a mistake, I think it's important to point out a
Yeah,
change.
I don't really worry too much about that shit. Like, I'll be able to farm all that stuff on my own and just get all that done. Like, that's grinding content. And, like, you guys know, I mean, in New World, right? I was the second person in New World, second person on my server to hit level 60. I took 2 days off. Okay? And then I was also the first person on my server to be able to cut ironwood. And I tried to sell it. Nobody would buy it. I tried to sell it for 20 gold for an ironwood. Nobody would buy it. I was so mad.
In the main quest once you leave Lutera. This
it was
happens
really
in your
cool.
mid-30s and can be a bit confusing as the main quest icon changes from an orange marker to a blue globe. I can't tell you how many people have sent me DMs about this. The marker changes and they end up wandering around aimlessly trying to figure out what to do next. Once you leave East Lutera, your next objective is Tortoik, so take your new ship and beeline it northeast to that small island. From this point on, you'll be following the blue globe icons as your main quests. Don't die. Obviously, this is one of the most fundamental tenets of video games, but in Lost Ark, there's a reason to keep your HP above 0. When you die in the game, you have 2 options: to respawn at the closest triport, or use a Phoenix Plume, also known as a Resurrection Feather. These are incredibly valuable items that you'll need for endgame content such as Abyss dungeons, so here again I say, don't waste them while leveling up. The mistake here is thinking—
How many of those did I use yesterday? Yeah, how many? Like, probably like, what, 10? I used 10 to kill an invulnerable clown. Yeah, it was like 5, 10 or so. Yeah. That's what I thought.
You have an abundance of these items, which may be the case early on, but as you progress in the game, you're going to need to rely on them much more, especially in endgame content that requires a feather to spawn back in, like Chaos Dungeons, Guardian Raids, and again, Abyss Dungeons. The thing about Phoenix Plumes is that there are only a finite amount of them to obtain. There are a few different ways to get them, but the main one is by completing aspects of your adventure tome. The thing is, once you run out of ways to get new feathers, you have to pay real-world cash, and let's be honest, who wants to do that? So once you reach the end game, you might be feeling like you're not reaching your full potential on a class. That's because you still need to unlock more skill points. The only way to do this is by engaging with the collectible systems within the game. Turning in things like giant hearts will reward you with 4 skill point potions, which give all characters on that server access to additional points. Skill point potions are connected to nearly every endgame system, and they're an absolute priority. Unlock new skill point potions and have access to more tripods, which ultimately helps you progress more quickly. The mistake here is not knowing these exist in the first place and not making them something you actively hunt down. You're not going to be able to get them all in one day. There are just too many systems at play here, but hunting down specific skill point potions like the ones in the Tower of Shadow should absolutely—
I'm going to get every single one on the first day, probably. That's my plan, is just to get them out of the way. Like, my goal is to beat everything in the game pretty fast, and that way I don't have to worry about it, and I can just kind of have fun. The guy said wrong. Yeah, apparently you can't use them in the Abyss dungeons. That was not true.
Be a first priority, as those additional points will unlock a whole world of possibilities for your characters. Finally, I want to talk about your roster level, or legacy level as it's called in the Russian version of the game.
Yeah.
I've talked about this before, but man, you gotta remember to keep unlocking new passive stats when you level up your account.
See, that's the best thing about my chat, is that the chat, anytime that I get anything, like, even if it's like, you know, I get a tree branch that you have to click, so if you get clicked 55 tree branches, you learn, you know, more about trees. Like, the chat will spam back, learn the tree branch, or you can't level. You're gonna die if you don't learn it. You need this for the next boss. You have to learn the tree branch. So it's like, I luckily never have to worry about that.
A system that runs parallel to your character level, and something that's so easy to forget. Nearly everything you do grants you XP towards your roster, and those stat boosts are universal across all characters on a server.
Yeah.
To access this menu, go to the roster icon in the bottom right, then click on roster information. Make sure to scan the list and click on any of the boxes you have unlocked to increase your roster level. Write yourself a sticky note, set a reminder on your phone, whatever you need to do, but don't miss out on free, easy stat boosts that take all of your characters on the server up a notch. So there you have it, 12 mistakes or oversights new players make and why you should do everything in your power to avoid them. If you've joined the Discord, you know we're all about empowering others here, so if you're a Lost Ark vet that somehow stumbled on this video, do me a solid and share your wealth of information with our community. What's one mistake you wish you hadn't made, when you were first playing Lost Ark? Leave a comment below and let others know. If you've been following along with our Lost Ark coverage, then you already know we've got a whole lineup of content ready to go for launch. We've been toiling away on the NAEU PTR, trying to get videos ready for launch. So if you appreciate that work, we'd appreciate the support. Hit that thumbs up and subscribe for more Lost Ark videos in your feed. Finally, if you like everything we're doing here at Legacy Gaming and you want to support the channel even more, you can do so by becoming a member. For just a couple bucks, you're helping us achieve our dreams of making YouTube
it's outdated info.
Passion. Check out
yeah,
the
but I do want to make sure people get the video, right?
My name is Kodiak, and from everyone here at Legacy Gaming, thanks for watching, and
there we
play
go.
on.
There we go. All right, guys, let me go back over here. Comment white Cerberus on the video. I'm not going to comment white Cerberus on the video, okay, guys? Yeah, I'm not. As I said, the guy, yeah, some of this stuff ended up being outdated, like, definitely. That's just the way it goes. But, you know, it was a video from kind of a while ago and had a lot of views, so I figured we might as well watch it. Look at player numbers, please. Yeah, I'll pull up the player numbers right now, okay, guys?